Okay, so in the last video we had DB instance was still provisioning. Now we came back here after like 30 to 40 minutes. The DB instance is ready. It shows as available. So let's continue our tasks. So on the mobile XTerm, we were actually like until like we basically we need to connect to the database instance using the SQL CL. So we have these three SQL CL zip is there, right? So let's go ahead and unzip the SQL CL. Okay. And once we unzip the SQL CL, we have to basically like go and connect to the database. So let me export some paths and options basically. So one thing is export Java home and creating the SQL alias for like wherever the SQL is there, and we are exporting the path also. Okay. And after that, we are going to actually connect to SQL as no-log. Okay, with no-log. And I'm going to connect to the admin, the password, whatever the password which I have actually earlier created, while provisioning the RDS instance. So at we have to actually pick up the RDS DNS hostname. That's the DNS hostname. Copy it. Put the DNS hostname here and connect over 1521. Remember, we actually opened the 1521 as the port in the security group, and ORCL is my SID which I have selected. So yeah, now I'm able to connect, which is good. So that's a test. Basically, we just wanted to make sure our EC2 instance is basically able to connect to the RDS instance via the SQL CL command, right? SQL CL. So we have to do like basically like before we go ahead and issue the ORDS installation, we have to actually make sure some grants are there. So we have to basically let's also try to connect it from SQL developer to see if we can connect, right? So okay, let's go ahead and create a new connection. Right. So we will call it as Apex Oracle. Okay. AWS, Apex Oracle AWS, and username is admin, and the password is whatever the password which we have given, right? So I'm going to put the password, and the host name is let's pick the host name again here from here. All right, so that's a host name, and 1521, and the SID is ORCL. Okay, connect. So we should be able to connect. Password again here. Right. So it's going to take a second for it to actually show up. Alright. So once we got connected to this SQL Developer Oracle instance, RDS instance, basically we have to execute some of the procedures and also grant commands. For example, like this execute RDS admin. So this is basically configuring couple of schema passwords. So let's go ahead and execute that part. Okay, and I'm changing the password of like Apex public user and altering my user so that it's unlocked, basically we are just unlocking the Apex public user and basically executing all these grant commands, basically grant procedures. Okay. All right. Just to make sure, issue a commit also. Okay. Okay. Since that is done, then let's go back to our EC2 instance back, and where is it? EC2 instance back. Clear it. Okay. And do the ls-lrt again. Let's go ahead and unzip the other two, Apex and ORDS also, right? Apex. Okay. I'm making a directory called so here I'm also making a new directory called the ORDS. Okay. All right, so making ORDS and then basically like changing directly to the ORDS, and let me go ahead and unzip the ORDS part also, ORDS software also, basically zip file. All right, that's also done. And once that unzip is done, this is when we actually we are getting ready to actually install our ORDS right here. So for that, this is a command: java -jar ords.var install advanced. Okay, so this actually goes and installs ORDS in the EC2 instance basically. So go ahead and give the configuration location. Okay, that's my location, and then let's go ahead and see what it actually brings up, right? Okay, what is my name of the database server? The database server is again from here. My port is 1521, and am I using the database service name and SID? So we are doing the seed. So let's go ahead and use 2, and my SID is ORCL. Okay, and enter 1 if you want to verify install Oracle REST data services schema. 2 to skip. So basically apart from the Oracle Apex application itself, we have to we can actually install Oracle REST data schema also. That way we can actually create the Oracle REST data services and web services basically. So we wanted to basically verify or install the Oracle REST data services. So let's pick up the default one option. So let's go ahead and do that one. Enter the database password for the ORDS public user. So I'm going to pick my password here. Confirm the password. All right. Requires login with admin user. So let's go ahead and use the admin username, admin, and the database password. And confirm the password. Enter the default table space, sysux is fine, temporary table space temp is fine, default table space users is fine, and temporary table space for the ORDS public user temp is fine. Okay, if using Oracle Apex Application Express or migrating from mod PL SQL, then you must enter 1. Okay, that's fine. Enter the PL SQL gateway database username. The default is good. Apex public user. Enter the database password, the Apex public user. Confirm the password. Good. Enter 1 to specify the password for Application Express RESTful Services database user. Okay, so let's go ahead and specify the password for those things also. So each time actually I'm pasting the password. You can't see here, but no, I'm actually pasting the password here. Enter the database password for this one, Apex Listener. That's fine. Confirm the password is fine. Enter the database password for the Apex REST problem. I'm pasting the password here. Confirm the password. So it is basically going and just installing our ORDS. Okay. Enter 1 if you wish to start in standalone mode. So we wanted to actually go ahead and enter the standalone mode to see the service is running or not. So let's go ahead and pick the default one. Enter the Apex static resources location. So basically Apex brings all the images, right? So whatever the images are required to configure the Apex system itself, those things are actually whenever you unzip the Apex .zip, those will be saved, the images will be saved here, right? So let's pick that one. Enter 1 if you're using HTTP. I'm using HTTP, so that's fine. HTTP port 8080, the default is fine, so I'm going to use that one. And it's going ahead and all right, so now the URL ORDS should be available. So let's go ahead and just make sure the ORDS is basically Apex is actually properly installed or not, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to so what I'm going to do, that is my so basically okay, we have to pick the EC2 instance as the host name. So let me jump back to my EC2 instance. Okay, and my running instance is public DNS. Let me pick the public DNS IP, public DNS host name. Pick that one here, and then go to my so let's paste it over here, and what port it's listening on, 8080, and my ORDS, right? So just to make sure ORDS is actually installed or not. Okay. Bingo. So Oracle Apex Application Express is already installed. So that means like no, the Apex installation is successful, but we have to actually do like one more thing. Just we need a default workspace, and also like username, password also need to be configured. The default workspace is called the internal workspace, and we will be actually configuring the admin user for that internal admin user. So what for that, let's go ahead and exit this service. All right, that's good. Once we exited, we have to basically just go ahead and connect to our SQL again. SQL as no log. All right. So once we connected to the SQL no log, basically just connect to our database instance again. Okay. At my this is not the EC2. Now we have to actually go back to our RDS and grab our database's database host name, DNS host name. So let's go ahead and click on that, and then that is my DNS host name again. So I'm copying that, putting it over here, and 1521 is port, and ORCL is my SIB. Okay, so let's go ahead and connect to that. All right. So here what we have to actually basically execute one of the SQL script, so which is under home Apex user Apex, called Apex chpwd.sql. This actually goes and configures our internal admin user. So let's go ahead and do that one. Okay, enter the administrator username. Admin is fine. Enter admin's email. Admin is fine. And the password, I'm picking the password here. Okay. Okay. Admin password is created. Now, now let's exit the SQL and restart our okay. Let's we are in ORDS, so let's go ahead and restart our ORDS war. Run our Java command. So Java jar ords.war. Okay, since everything was done from the previous step itself, it should be basically restarting the service again. So let's go back to our Apex instance and refresh this one here just to make sure. Okay, good. Now let me try to connect to my internal instance, right? The admin is the one which we actually configured, and the password, I'm going to put the password which I have configured here. So we are able to basically log into our Oracle Apex instance also. Okay, let me log out from here. Okay, that is fine. So let me come back from my service. So basically here is right. So the reason why we are actually able to bring this URL is because our service is running, right? So but if I actually kill this service here, okay, my URL should actually not resolve. Yes, the site can't be reached. So basically the service is not running on the ORDS, right? So it's not running. That's why it's so what is a way to actually make sure the ORDS or the Apex URLs are actually working, right? So coming back to our diagram here, we have actually created the database, we have created the app servers, but we have not installed the Tomcat on top of it. So let's go ahead and install the Tomcat. That way we can have the app servers are actually communicate to the database, and we don't have to actually keep the service up and running all the time, right? So we cannot. So that's why we have to go ahead and install like our Tomcat on this instance basically. So for that, let's go ahead and come out of the Apex user. So exit. Okay, exit here. I'm in root right now. So as root, so current working directory is root. So let me go to user local. Okay, and here this is where we are actually going to install our Tomcat, right? So for the Tomcat, we need to actually get some the software, right? So software, that's why we are going to get the software from using the wget from one of this mirror. So there are multiple mirrors. If you go to the Tomcat website, you can actually pick like one of the available mirrors from there, and for now, like let's go ahead and use this mirror to get the software, right? So let's go ahead and enter. Okay, we got the Tomcat software actually already already fetched. So that is my Apache Tomcat tar. So let's go ahead and untar it. So tar xvf, and I'm gonna pick that. Good. And once that is done, so clear, and let's move. Okay, let's go ahead and do the ls minus lrt here. So Apache Tomcat. Let's go move this to with a different name called the Tomcat 9. Okay. All right, that's done. Now we have to basically create a Linux service for this Tomcat. Because like now we have to automatically, whenever the automatically start the EC2 install start and stop, the Tomcat also has to actually survive the reboot, and basically Tomcat has to actually should be available, right? So for that, let's go ahead and just what we need to do is we need to basically create a Linux service for the Tomcat. So let's go ahead, vi that's Tomcat service, and this is what we are going to paste inside. All right, so then escape, and that is my environment Java home user lib jvm jre. That's when my jre is there. So let's go ahead and save it and come out. All right, and then what we are going to do is enable the Tomcat. Basically what we are going to do is systemctl enable Tomcat. Okay, and start the Tomcat, right? Start Tomcat. Okay, Tomcat is started. Now let's go back and see whether the Tomcat is properly configured, right? So let's go back to our instance here. We did not actually move all the ORDS yet, so let's remove that ORDS part, but at least on the port 8080 we should be actually having the Tomcat installed already, right? So let's go ahead and see. Good. So the Tomcat is already installed, so it is bringing it up. That's fine. So let's actually move all the ORDS repository from Apex user back into our Tomcat location, right? So that way we can actually launch ORDS URLs also. So for that one, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy my ords.war file to web apps location under the Tomcat 9, and then I'm going to make a directory to move my resources like static resource location, static resource images. So I'm creating a directory under web apps, and basically I'm copying my all the Apex images from wherever from the Apex user back into web apps new folder, right? New folder which we have created. So there are quite a few. It's going to take a couple of seconds basically. Let's see. Let's wait for it to actually copy all those things. Okay. Now all the images are copied over. Let's go ahead and make the permissions also change. All right. Now once that is done, let's go ahead and systemctl restart Tomcat. We're going to restart the Tomcat. Now let's go back to our URL and see if we are able to reach over to the ORDS ORDS also, right? So good. So we are able to basically like we have installed the Tomcat, and we are able to actually launch our Apex URL also from here, and we are able to actually we can log into our internal admin user which we have provisioned, right? So that is done. So let's go back so to the diagram. Database, yeah, app servers are done, right? But now if you look at it, like the database right now, whatever the status we are in, the database has the internet connectivity. That's the reason why we are able to actually connect to through the MySQL developer from outside. And app server also has internet connectivity. That's the reason why we are able to actually like reach over from the internet to over the 8080, which is not a good practice, right? Because these two things need to be protected. So what we are going to do is we are going to provision a load balancer on top of it, and we that actually spawns both availability zones, and just configure this app server as a backend in the backend set, and associate that backend set with the load balancer. That way, then only the load balancer is the one which is actually going to take the traffic from the internet, and the load balancer will be actually communicating to the app server, and we will shut off the internet connectivity to app server and the database also. Let's go ahead and do that step. So going back, let's go back to our console, AWS console, and here let's go back to our EC2 console. And from here, like we already created, if you remember, we already created a security group, right? The security group says this is actually load balance security group. Just as a refresher, if you look at the inbound rules, the inbound rule says that, okay, this is actually like from the internet on the port 80 I'm able to reach to through this security group. So what we are going to do is we are going to basically create a target group and associate the target group to the load balancer, right? So then that load balancer is the one which is going to connect to our the target in the target group, right? So let's go back to our target groups here. I'm going to create a new target group. Okay. Right, so what is the target? It's instance type, not the IP addresses. Target group name, what I'm going to say is Apex target group, for example. And the way the protocol which we are going to use to communicate to this the instance in the target group is 8080. If you remember, that's what we provision, right? The instances, ORDS instance is actually listening on the 8080. So that's what we are going to select, and the VPC is actually a default one. Health check protocol HTTP is fine. Go to next, and then there is one available instance here, so we're going to pick that one and include as pending below, and then let's go ahead and create the target group. So the target group is created, and the targets are actually like right now it's unused, so we are not actually like associated the use that in the load balancer. So let's go ahead and create the load balancer also. Okay, create a load balancer here. What we are going to, we're going to pick the application load balancer, not the network or classic load balancer, because we are going to reach over the HTTP. So here what we are going to do is like we are going to call this as Apex load balancer, and this is internet facing on the IPv4, and the load balancer is listening to the internet over the port number 80. So let's go ahead and select the port 80, and the VPC is going to pick the default VPC. Let's make sure like this load balancer spawns these two subnets. Coming back here, the load balancer spawning to these two subnets. So that is done, and next configuration setting. So for now let's ignore that, and then here what is the security group you want to use? The security group is actually my load balance security group, which is actually allowing the traffic on the port 80. Let's select that one. Next, configuration routing. Target group already we selected, so we set up, so we are picking the existing target group and saying the Apex target group, instant type HTTP, and it's actually listening. The instances are listening on the 8080. Load balance itself is listening on 80, but the instances are on the 8080. So 8080 we're going to pick. Next, register targets. Okay, everything is good. Create. So once this is provisioned, it's going to take like maybe 30 seconds to 1 minute to actually start complete the provisioning process. So if you look at the Apex load balancer, it's in the provisioning status, and the listeners are actually, this is my listener here. And let's go back to my target groups. And the target group is actually also is since we are associated this target group with the load balancer, it is change the status from unused to the initial. It will once like no a minute or so, it will actually say like no what's the health of this the instances in the target group. So okay, let's go ahead and pause this video and come back and see. Okay, looks like my load balancer is already the status active, it's already provisioned. So my target group, let's go back and see the target group, and this instance the status is healthy. That means like some load balancer is successfully able to actually establish the connections with my backend in the backend set, which is actually my listeners EC2 listener instance, right? So so let's go back and see like no whether we are able to reach to the Apex over this the load balancer URL, right? So let's go ahead and copy the DNS host name for the load balancer and come back here, and let me open the new one here. Okay, so if you look at like this one, and the standard one actually is listening on the port 8080, but the load balancer is actually listening on the port 80. You can actually put the port 80 default port. Since it's a default port, you don't even need to actually place anything. So just load balancer in the slash ORDS. Okay. Alright, so load balancer is able to basically connect to the ORDS instance and get that information also. So that part also is done, right? That part also, that we are actually reaching out from the internet. Load balancer is actually like connecting to the app server. App server is connected to database, and basically this entire round trip is actually like is verified with one single what this browser fetch, right? So but now the problem is actually like no I'm still able to actually connect to this instance, right, which is not good. We should not be able to actually connect to the app server from the internet. So let's go ahead and fix that one. For that one, let's know security groups are actually like no is going to are the key. So what we are going to say is, okay, my database, the inbound rules right now 1521 from anywhere is we are allowing, but let's go ahead and restrict that one. First of all, like let's remove this extra entry. I mean that's IPv6 entry, and then go ahead and basically pick this is my database. Database has to actually listen from app servers, right? So I'm going to select the listeners security group, which is actually app server security group. Remove that default one, the internet one, and then save rule. Okay, and that is done. And now on the so basically we have protected this database from the external internet. So we are actually like allowing only traffic from the app server. And from the app server, let's go ahead and allow the traffic only from the load balancer. So for that one, let's go to the listener security group, and for the listener security group, edit the inbound rules. So let's remove like this part 8080 from the 8080 instead of 8080 internet. Let's go ahead and get it from only from the load balancer security group. Okay, that's the load balancer group. So that means only load balancer can communicate in the inbound to this instance, right? So while I'm here, I'm going to remove that one, but SSH we are keeping it because like this SSH was required for installing the softwares on the EC2, right? So let's go ahead and save the rule. Let's quickly verify our load balance security group also. We don't have to make any change because like we are allowing the internet connectivity over the port 80 to this one, right? So let's go back and see like how these things will behave now. Okay, and so here on the load balancer URL, I'm just going to hit it, and I'm still getting the response. That's good. On the EC2 instance, directly from to the Tomcat URL, like ORDS URL, I'm going to hit it and see like it will spin, and it says like it's not able to get it. The reason is actually we prevented the security. We prevent the access to the security group tightening, right? So that is there. Okay, after a few seconds, looks like my EC2 the URL fetch, basically direct URL fetch is actually like going to site can't be reached. That is a result of our tightening of the security group. Let's also go and verify our the database security tightening also, right? So I'm back into my EC2 instance. Let me go ahead and first actually try to just connect to this instance here. All right, so let's go ahead and put the password. Okay, and let me go ahead and test the connection, what it will say. Right, so since we are restricting the database access only from the Apex user from the internet, whenever I am trying to connect to the SQL developer from my machine, it is going to try to connect, and it's actually going to come back with timeout. See, the status failure, network adapter could not establish the connection. So that means the database also does not have the internet connectivity right now. But how about from the app server? Are we having the database connectivity from the app server? Because we allowed access to the app server, right? Let's go back and verify that one. I'm in my EC2 instance. So let me go ahead and try to connect it to SQL no log. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to connect to my database from here, from the EC2 instance itself. Connected. So that means this traffic is still allowed, but the external traffic is not allowed from there and here, right? So that is basically pretty much it I wanted to cover. So basically, just to summarize, we have created a VPC. We have created two subnets within the and different availability zones, and we have provisioned DB tier RDS Oracle SC2 instance, and we have automatically through the option groups we have installed whatever the required Apex the packages and all those things from on the database instance itself. Once we provision the database, we have created a EC2 Linux instance, and on that we have provisioned our Tomcat and the app tier and established the connectivity between app server and database. And then on top of it, we actually provision the load balancer and register that app server as a target in a target set, and associate the target set with the load balancer, and establish the connectivity back from load balancer to the app server. And after everything is done, after verifying the instance is installed properly, database is configured properly, we have shut off external connectivity from the internet to app server and database, and only kept the connectivity from the load balancer itself. Okay, yeah, so that concludes our demo from basically provisioning, installing and so configuring the Oracle Apex from start to end, using this three-tier architecture. If you are doing this demo on your instance, just be aware that the database which we have provisioned is started accumulating charges. So roughly the database is with our current setting, it's actually charging $57 or something for the RDS. And the EC2 instance, we are using free tier, but once it comes out of the free tier, it's going to cost around the T2 micro at this time cost around $8, and load balancer with whatever the current setting we have, probably $16. So under around the $100, you can have all this setup configured, and also you can start creating the Oracle Apex beautiful applications. Okay, and make sure if you don't want the database, go ahead and delete the database EC2 instances also from your AWS tenancy. Okay, all right, thank you for your time. Bye.